had a few of you kind of come up and make jokes about what we're talking about because it's budgets, and some of you do great with your budget anyways, and some of you don't. So we're going to be jumping into the MREA budget model. So there's 4 fundamental models. We've already now jumped into the first 2. Who can name the first 2 that we did?
Economic model and lead gen.
Good. Economic model and the lead gen model. So the economic model is knowing your numbers and what it's going to take, and the lead gen model is all about lead generation so you can get those numbers, right?
And like how people need to contact or having your database.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, very much knowing those numbers because that's huge, right? So the budget model is the budget, right? It's knowing, okay, where's your money going and how are you using it effectively? So I'm excited to dive into this today, but before I jumped into this, I wanted to jump into actually one of the bold truths. So one of the bold truths is what you focus on expands. So Gary Keller teaches this of saying, hey, great, right? Your focus determines your success. So what we're going to be focusing on and what we're going to be doing is that. And from Family Reunion, he dove into this for everyone who's there. It says, so success is a result of disciplined focus. When we direct our attention to what truly matters, we create momentum and drive results. The 80-20 principle reinforces that a small number of activities yield the most significant outcomes, right? Who in here, I mean, I've talked to a good amount of you about this anyways, but who in here has focused on something and it just either got better or got worse because of how you started the thought process?
Never.
Right? Never. So the whole thing with what you focus on expands is very much on like, okay, you're going to see the good, see the bad, right? Whatever you focus on will continue to be in front of you in that way. So here's kind of a few parts. You need to make sure you're identifying your most important activities. You need to avoid distractions and unnecessary commitments. And consistency in focus leads to exponential growth. So those are some of the big parts about that to kind of get you going. So because we're talking about this, I wanted to start off with a math problem. And these always make me laugh because this is not math. But I chose an easy enough one because there's some out there that are like trying to trick you, and this one's not. Okay, 16, yep. So the reason why I want to do this, right? I mean, in your budget aspect, there is going to be some math involved. At the same time, you know, it's not like this. You're not figuring out fruits and stuff to figure out what it looks like here. I don't know. A little fruity. Okay, I love it. So let's go into this though. This right here is, so the purpose of the budget model, right? There's a handful of parts in here. The MREA would say 1, it guides agents towards profitability. So there's a lot of different books out there, a lot of different concepts on how you can do this, but that right there is the basis of the budget model. The other one is it creates financial clarity, right? Clarity is very much power. So when you know and understand what's going on, you can then make better decisions, right? The next one is to support smart business decisions, right? If you're going through or a shiny object comes up in front of you, like never happens, then you can kind of go through and say, hey, where and what does this actually work? Does this fit in with what I want them to do? So on and so forth. The next one is keep your expenses in check, right? The great part is all of this very much you can apply to your personal life. What? Write checks? That's, no, I didn't, but some people here don't even know what that is. So.
Oh my gosh. Hey, how y'all doing? How's it going?
Oh no.
My name's Gary Keller.
Hey Gary.
I can't stay for long after I sold that little chunk of KW. I've been out tanning and traveling, getting tattoos done, and and nothing makes me happier than, you know, being in a room with real estate professionals being so purposeful about their careers. It makes me happy. But I was on my way to meet up with Jay Papasant and had to stop by and wish one of my best buds a happy birthday. So, favorite Francis, happy birthday. Selfies are trying to make it to 100, and I think he'll make it. I think he will. But seriously, in my decades and decades of studying leadership, role models, this young man set an excellent example, and we sure are happy to have him part of the KW family. So, on behalf of me and the rest of KW, happy birthday. David.
Oh, thank you so much, Gary.
Price off, remember, earn $1 million, make $1 million, net $1 million, receive $1 million, thank $1 million.
Birthday, Taylor, one here.
Is that the day? Is that the day?
Ready?
Happy birthday to you.
Happy
birthday to you.
Oh,
Happy birthday, dear Taylor. Happy birthday to you.
yeah, I did it. Ah! Yeah, I'm so glad he flew into town. That was really nice. That was really, I mean, he was telling me about his expenses of his jet, but I didn't expect him to use it for this. So that's funny. Thanks, guys. Now I'm off track.
Keep expenses in check.
Yes, keep expenses in check.
Ken's writing checks and we keep.
All right. Well, we're gonna start from there. So yeah. So okay, keep expenses in check. And then the next one is it enables substantial growth, sustainable growth. That's what that says. Substantial and sustainable. It's very important. So the reason that the budget model is so great in that way is it's one of those things that we don't often look at enough. So that's why I wanted to make sure to bring it up to everyone's attention and kind of go from there.
It's a bit older technology.
It is. Yeah. So here's a couple things. I know at the very beginning when we did the economic model, we dove into this. So we dove into the number side as well as like, okay, what does it look like? How would this number look like of saying where should your expenses be and everything? So I kind of wanted to do the quick version, and then we're going to do the detailed version. So the quick version is if you have a team or on a team or have multiple people, then you have this first one. This first one is your cost of sales is 30, your expenses is 30, and your net profit is 40. That should be kind of where you're looking and saying, hey, from all the money that's coming in, am I able to keep about 40%? Right? That's how you start judging it. That's after. Because that's net income.
So then another 3 on top.
Depending on how you play with it, right? So, but yes. So, yeah. So then individual wise, if you're by yourself and don't have anybody else on your team, right? So you don't have admin, you don't have assistants, then this is what you should be looking at, right? Operating expenses 30, net at 70. So the reason why I wanted to go into that is because these next parts really help you start looking at and using these tools to help you reflect on what you're actually doing. So these are 3 different spots to use the budget model to the best ability possible. The first one that's up there is lead with revenue. I'm a strong component of, there's the whole thing out there of being like pay to play or, you have to have money to make money. It's not true, right? There is so much that you can do first that I would rather you do before you try and pay money to do something. So lead with revenue, right? Whenever you're doing something, improve your business to then say, hey, great, now I can justify in my expenses to improve and put that on it. So that's the first one, make money before you spend it. The next one is playing red light, green lights, and I'll dive into that and then sticking to a budget. So this first one, like we just talked about, it's very much going through and saying, hey, how do you increase your expenses to then have it so before you increase your expenses, how do you increase your income to then be able to allow for that, right? You want to be able to have that and not put the cart before the horse, right? Make sure you're looking at that. This one, red light, green light. I know we've all played it as a kid, and if you watch Squid Games, then made you even more nervous about how red light, green light works, right? If you haven't, maybe don't go watch that, but really good about saying, great, like looking at everything and taking things by line item and putting a mark on them. So you can actually reflect and say, hey, where did my money go this month? Or where did it go this whole year? As my team up north, I would go through and I would do this every single year and we'd do every single thing line item by line item. Yeah.
I will say that it's much easier elephant to eat if you do it monthly instead of
100%.
paid a year.
100% easier if you do it bi-monthly. That was one of the activities we chose to still yearly because there's some yearly expenses that didn't happen, but that you need, if you do it every month and it's part of what you do, then that's going to help it in that way. What I did, and this is what I recommend, is that you have a red, yellow, and a green marker, and you print it out and you just make the lines on it while you're going down. So I kind of showed you one, okay, great, all this stuff comes through and you see your Canva Pro one, you're like, man, I'm so excited, that's a yellow light. I'm gonna see how I can remove that in a couple months because it will be paid for by KW, right? Then you can go through, but going over all of your different items and doing okay, red means that you shouldn't be paying for this and how do you get that removed? Yellow is, okay, this is on that fence. I need to make sure to be tracking more of the ROI and information on that to say, hey, is this really what I want to do? And then green, of course, is something that is justified. It's in the budget. You need it. Make sense? But going through this on a regular basis really helps you as a business owner. And again, I still think it's a great tool for your personal life, right? But as a business owner to say, hey, where am I at? Am I treating this as a business and making that in the right spot?
Yeah, so I did it, and I'm like, what?
That was just generated by ChatGPT.
Oh.
It's not real.
I was like.
Yeah, and whatever picture's $200.
Yeah. We want the contact for whoever your chat.
Yeah. Wherever he found it was really good. So, yep, so good. I love it. Okay, so then the next piece is now that you looking at everything, where does it hit and sticking to the budget. If you have you're doing your books or if you're paying for someone to do your books, I would highly recommend that you put them in these categories so you're tracking it and can then go, when you have your P&L, you can actually see what hits in the different buckets, right? If you go through, and that's going to be some coaching of whoever's doing it, or if you're doing it, right? But having it so that you're in these spots. So these right here are the averages of top performers in each category. So if you make 150 grand coming in the door, where should you be at, right? Your net income should be about 50%. Your cost of sales should be about 13, and your expenses should be 38. Right? Yes, these will all be shared. We'll have it on there, and this will be on YouTube, right? This right here is best practices is on the right. So you can see, okay, if you have 100 grand coming in, million, it's a million, just one extra zero. 25% and then 36% to expenses. So you should be roughly right at that 40% mark, right? Yeah, but here's the thing. This right here is your cost of sales includes buyer's agents. It's going to include all of those. So that's how much salaries. But this is the numbers for best practice, right? For building a true business is what this goes off of. If you can beat it, then great. But the question that I always ask, and that's why I like the next page I'm showing, the question is, okay, is there something that you're not paying for that would probably be helping you that you should have probably been paying for, rather than saying, great, I'm going to be having 80% profitability, and that's because, right? Does that make sense? So let's go into this next part. This right here is based on the averages of best practices for different aspects. So salaries, for example, at 150, you should be having some form of salary or benefits that are being paid of 5.6%, right? That could be a lot of things. That could be your own health insurance. There's a lot of things that could be going into what this looks like. But this is going to be the salaries and benefits of being paid to increase your business and increase your leverage. Then you have professional services, right? So that's paying for professional services to get things done, right? Leveraging that out. Listing management, what does that look like, right? General prospecting and marketing, what does that look like? I very much, right? I tell people all the time, if you're when you can do the point consistently that you can put the money into marketing and the prospecting, then you should. You should be figuring out and tracking it and justify and seeing its ROI work. But that's where it's like roughly 10% you can see for most of those cases. Occupancy, right? How are you doing on occupancy for how much you're bringing in? Education and coaching. You can see like it's there for sure. And that's one of the few spots that I always have an argument for, because I've been taught for the longest time by some of my coaches that I should be trying to do, like get to the point where I can do closer to 10% into that. And that's because that's self-improvement. And I believe that each of you individually, just like I believe in myself, is the best investment that you can put money into, right? Supply, offices, and expenses, and communication technology. The reason you have these different ones is so you can go through and say, hey, where, how, and what am I doing to kind of be in that spot.
What is occupancy? Is that leasing the office space?
Office space. Yep, that's gonna be office space. Supply, yep. Yep, supplies and office expenses, right? But these are the categories. Gary Keller would very much teach you that if something doesn't fit in these, and then it's like, then is it a real expense, or how are you justifying that? Again, one other thing, and I was having a conversation with someone, I believe this is what you should be doing. And then there's also the extra stuff that might be on your P&L as a business for tax purposes, but that should be different. Does that make sense? Like if you're saying, great, I have this vehicle that I'm spending, like, yes, concepts, right? How do you, of course, tax-wise, that's a different combo than how are you running your business? Okay, good. So automobile is up there though. Equipment and furnishings and insurance, right? Making sure that you have all of those in the right spot. So by controlling by focusing on controlling costs, prioritizing revenue generating activities, and ensuring that spending aligns with your business growth, the budget model helps agents maintain financial, healthy, and long-term success. Going through this, making sure that you don't have, too much bloat in your expenses, making sure that you're in the right spot, making sure maybe you're under in something that you're like, oh, maybe I should be doing this, this, and that. This is a habit that as a business owner, right, like you guys are your own businesses, that you should be putting into practice often. So that's why I wanted to make sure that we go through this. We dove into it and just gave you at least that glimpse into what this looks like so that you guys can kind of be in that spot. And that's it. It's a short model. Any questions? I'm not going to say no to that, right? You need to be up and aware and kind of with that. So like in a lot of ways, yeah, you should maybe if you're not in the right spot, then maybe it would give you a little bit.
Each business has its own.
Yeah, each one has its own P&L. So. So usually you're paying bookkeepers to do certain things, or it's each one has its own account and you're using QuickBooks, or there's more and more AI ones out there that are getting better at that. Like it's a process. That's where if you go through and even if you take one of those tools, and even if you just did the red light, green light one and did that, you're going to be in a better spot than you were, right? So all of these are different tools to help you kind of look at things and see, hey, where am I at? So you can improve it. right? I don't, to help with the anxiety of saying, hey, great, how do I do this? I wouldn't recommend that you're like, great, I'm going to implement all of these tomorrow because I need it to be perfect. Because that's where I think that's difficult, right? It's how are you doing things to be and get that much more improvement as being a business owner so that you can be in that right spot.
What's the break, I guess, it's all in the MRA, what's a cost of good, what's a cost of good and, or cost of sell?
Cost of sell and
Breaks all
expense.
those things down and kind of what goes in.
Yeah, so simple definition of cost of sell and expenses. Expense is something that happens no matter what for your business to move forward. Cost of sell is because something sold.
So like
So
transaction, some or coordinator fee would be. a
cost of transaction coordination, a referral is going to be a cost of sell.
But photography would be an expense because it doesn't always sell, so it's not directly tied
Correct.
to. a
Yeah.
sale.
Yep, photography is going to be an expense, not a cost of sell. That's correct. So that's what you have to look at is what is tied 100% because something sold, and that's cost of sell. That's one reason why the basic 70-30, if you're an individual, there's no cost of sell number that they put into that basic formula because you're not going to have as many of your paying people per deal. But if you look at back to the, oh, it's going to go away. This one right here, right? Then, and before it goes away, okay. You can see that they do still have a cost of sell. It's just smaller, the smaller amount you make, because you're not needing as much leverage. So in order to sell something, it's not costing you as much cost of sell to get to that point.
Also, if you look at that, the expenses, the less you make or higher, then the more you make because.
Yeah.
It will weigh itself out.
Yep, good. Yeah, expenses start higher on average for people who have a smaller business, but then that number a lot of times doesn't grow. It's not an exponential number
Because you can scale.
because you can scale it. Yep. So, very important. I want to make sure that it's something that you look at, you say, hey, great, how and where am I doing? Just to make sure you're continuing to make those improvements in your business. So, and that's it. Any other questions? Scott.
How often do you personally look at your budget P&Ls?
Ooh, good question. How often do I personally?
Yes.
I honestly look at my net worth sheet more often than I do my budget and expenses. Just being like, I do my budget and expenses more on a yearly basis. That's how I've been doing it. I wouldn't say that's best practice. I do my net worth sheet on a monthly basis because I want to see where and how am I affecting that, which they correlate well together, but I only do it yearly. I know a lot of people who do it quarterly or monthly, and I do think that's a better practice because it's easier. When I sit down and do it for the whole year, it takes me a chunk of time. So, and I mean, I am reviewing my past numbers every single month. So for any of the businesses, I do go look at and I say, how did they do the month before, right? But I'm not as diligent with a lot of this stuff that I only do yearly. I should separate that too. I don't not look at it the whole year. I am looking at it in that way. So.
So that kind of goes back to what you focus on expense.
Correct.
Right? So if you're looking at it once a year, you have one time a year to make that decision. And something might come up in February that you weren't expecting.
100%.
If you're looking at it every month or even quarterly, let's start with quarterly, look at every quarter. You can kind of pre-plan the next quarter based on what happened last quarter for your expenses. So maybe the photographer, maybe you're like, okay, that photographer is too much for what I'm getting. Let me look at other costs that might be a better benefit for what I'm receiving.
Correct.
But if you wait till the end of the year, like, okay, I just paid $5,000 in photography and I probably could have spent $4,000.
100%.
Or I'm not spending enough and I'm not getting what I want, so maybe I need to increase the photography bill to get reels out of it or videos out of it, whatever that could be. So if you're only looking at that once a year, it's hard to make that decision for your business versus if you're doing quarterly.
100%. And that's why I started with what you focus on expands, because you're going to be able to get a lot more out of your money and a lot more through it if you are actually reviewing it, right? So good. Good question. Good answer. Anyone else? Other questions? Yeah.
If, either hand your slips to Rachel or I. Thank you. Hand it to Rachel or I. If you didn't get a slip and you would like to donate to KW Cares either locally or internationally, please let us know. We really want to make this a huge success and increase our culture with giving back to not only ourselves, but our community.
Okay, love it. Good food out there. Go get it. Appreciate you guys.